Please listen carefully.
Hello, universe. Welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Summers Kristy.
And I'm Kristy Jansen, and we're part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to help make it one focused on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, and home office-worthy podcast. Oh, home offices. Today is Monday, the 22nd of February, 2021. Well, Kristy, I'm not going to start with my usual question of how are you because, well, I think I know the answer. Instead, I will ask you, what did you do this weekend that you enjoyed?
Well, I am right now really, it's kind of thrilling to be back with my little nephew and having a 3-year-old to play with. Because most of my life I've been really involved with the kids in my family. And this, last year has sort of cut that out because I haven't gotten to see the littler ones. And I miss that. And so the 3-year-old slept over at our little cottage on Friday, and that was really, really precious. So I've been playing a lot of Go Dog Go and Legos and things like that.
Nice.
And it's kind of neat to have that kind of a break. There's something about that requires you to be very present with little kids, or at least for me, that it brings me out of myself in a way that I can often not, I get lost in my thoughts or, even going for long walks, or even when I'm talking with my friends or husband or older kids, it's not quite as, you don't have to watch them quite so closely.
Right.
Right. So anyway, it's almost a meditation for me, maybe. It brings me to my center, my core. Because since I was a teenager, I've been really involved with young kids most of my time. This last year has been a painful separation from that kind of little child engagement.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're so right that little children require you to be present in order for them to feel good and grow. I wrestle right now because there are so many things I am trying to accomplish. So being present for my little one, I'm not sure I'm winning at that at the moment, but I am trying. And we had a busy, exhausting weekend, and I have a terrible headache this morning. But I am determined to dig deep for some optimism. First and foremost, I think acknowledging that we are exhausted or perhaps burned out is a good way to go, right?
Yeah. So I think the two solutions that we're going to be talking about today speak to both of those things.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Burnout and how do you have to dig deep to stay connected to your positive self.
Right. Well, and, we talk about it all the time that like optimism is a practice. Like anything that you want to get good at, you have to do it continually and you have to try different tools in different ways. And, if you're an athlete and you're training in one way and your muscles just aren't responding anymore, you have to switch up your training. And I think that that's where a lot of the solutions that we talk about today on the Optimist Daily are. It's kind of switching up our training and figuring out new ways to find optimism and commit to moving forward in a good way. We, on a home buying, home moving, home travel front, the information that we've been able to just get out of the folks who own the home that we're moving to in Texas has been really limited just because communication is very limited. And Texas is just starting to come back online. And, everybody is sort of scrambling in their best interest or in the best interest of, the spirit of buying this home. But it's just been a moment where finding joy or knowing that there was joy was kind of hard to dig into. So I'm really grateful for the joy article on the Optimist Daily today. Which one should we talk about first, Kristy?
Well, let's talk about the headline that I had claimed first, which was about avoiding burnout, or 3 strategies to work from home without burning out.
Right.
Because
all right. Yes.
That was what I was starting to talk about in our pre-call this morning. A pre-record call, just that I feel like as this has dragged on and on and on, I feel like I'm in a captive situation in my quarantine house, even more than normal. I do feel like it's hard for me to separate relaxation from work, partly because it's all happening in the same place. And then I feel unmotivated. I don't feel as productive when I am sitting down to work. I feel easily distracted, but not like in a fun way. There's this kind of, as you were saying, it's hard to stay focused and fun and enjoying, I find. And I think that's burnout. And it just feels like it's been a long year. It's been a long time of doing the same thing every day. The weekends aren't even that much different, right?
Right. I mean, aside from the structure actually in the schedule of work, the weekends don't have a lot of, variation to them. And they can feel very, just like an extended break in between, Friday to Monday. It's like Saturday and Sunday just sort of disappear. And I think that happened pre-quarantine, right? And I think if you're not mindful of your weekends, that happened pre-pandemic, but it certainly, I think, can happen to people now. So what are some strategies?
For me,
like, what can we do?
Well, some strategy, because it was novel. There was a freedom associated with not having to have a commute. It was great, but now I really miss my face-to-face with my colleagues. I miss the coffee maker conversations, right? Running into each other in the kitchen.
And in the old office, we had a Keurig, and so you really had to sit and like talk to each other while we made coffee, because you had to wait in between each cup, so it forced conversation. And it was lovely.
And it's harder to manage our team in some ways, especially bringing new people in. It's harder to make the personal contact. We have to set up time. So anyway, there's a couple of different ideas on how you can help to make your home space more productive or conducive to separation from the rest of your home life. And I think that's really important it's strategic in terms of creating workspace, which is separate, and regaining some sort of a balance and trying to avoid really getting stretched too thin, because honestly, it's going to be a while longer before this is done. I mean, it's probably going to be quite a long, unfortunately, even though it feels like there's some hope. We're not going back to
like high density co-work spaces and high density office. Yeah,
and maybe
that's
never.
just not the future.
Yeah,
possibly never.
So how do you create a workspace at home that is going to be conducive to not getting burned out while maintaining sort of a positive, productive workflow? And so here's 3 tips. First is to designate an actual workspace. And so even if you have a small amount of room, find a place that is your spot to, when you go there, you're in work mentality, whether that's maybe you get a folding table and put it in the corner of your living room, right? And you make that your little desk, even if it's not as desky as you're used to, or if it's a part of your bedroom. I actually ended up buying a folding screen that I can put out, because my home office is actually in my bedroom, which is a big room, but it's still, I can basically, 3 steps to my desk from the bed,
Or more importantly, 3 steps to your bed from the desk.
So, but having an actual space that can be really useful. And if you're working in a house with roommates, or if you have kids and they need their own space also to set up. So having those indications, that way, when you're in your workspace, you're not open for conversation. And that's a good way to separate your work from your life, right?
Well, and that's part of the struggle that I have had, and I know so many parents have too, is that our homes weren't built really necessarily for, the California style home, and depending on where you are, but the homes weren't built with a lot of separate rooms. It's the great room, the grand spaces were sort of how people have, your kitchen is your dining room, is your living room, is your office, which is pretty much what our house is. Our bedrooms are the only things that are separate. So for me, when I have this lovely office space, which was great when my daughter had somewhere to go, but now she is here all the time. And so my closet becomes my office space.
You're moving to create a better workspace for yourself. So that's good. Yeah, but then another thing you can do, even without the ideal workspace, is create a schedule where you have the same schedule every day when you're working, so you don't get lost in like make a point, you always have to shut down at 6 p.m. or 5:30 or whatever it is. And you start at 8:30, you don't start at 5:30. You create boundaries in your day on a schedule basis that you have a start time and a finish time. And maybe you do like a fake commute to work. Okay, it's almost time to go to work. Let's walk around the block. And then you come in and you go to your workspace as opposed to rolling out of bed and going right to your desk. Yeah. So this will help.
And what we kind of do, so what we do at the Optimist Daily, what Kristy and I do to settle into our workday is we meet every morning for about 15 to 20 minutes. And even if we are not yet, quote unquote, at our desks, we will call one another on Skype, and we might be in the kitchen finishing up making our smoothies or, coffee or whatever, but it's just our way of saying like, hey, we're going to work now. Like, let's move into the office. And so it actually has done a really good job in helping us center our way back into work every morning. And I think it does help a lot. It's like my commute means that I call Kristy on my way to work.
Yes. And then the final thing is when you have a schedule, create breaks in your schedule. One of those things that I find I get caught in my workday and I don't pay attention to the fact that I've been sitting in the same position for like 6 hours. It's taking breaks is super important. And it also helps to get the cobwebs out of your mind. If you're focused on a problem and you're stuck with it, walking around, taking a break, getting coffee, saying hello to your kids who are working in the other room or whatever, it helps to get you a little bit of energy back, get your mojo back.
Okay, so I have what I think is now just like a revolutionary idea on mom breaks. Or on mom exercise. So there are kids songs, right? Head, shoulders, knees and toes, wheel on the bus, baby shark. I am creating what I believe to be the mom workout stretch break, where you go through head, shoulders, knees and toes, and you do really big movements and actions. You stand up and you do it. And then baby shark, and you like fully swing those arms. And then basically it's like a 3-minute break of kids song singing. And then you can sit back down. So it's like my mini exercise break through kids songs. I'm probably going to make a DVD of this and sell it on late night TV. It's probably going to happen. But
if you have toddlers, maybe not so good if you have a teenager though. But
or your teenager.
You do a TikTok dance. That's what you do with your teenager.
Exactly. But finding creative ways to take breaks. And I think it's really true that movement is so important for breaks, right? You've got to move. And I know that I have not done a great job at that these last few months. And so as I sort of look ahead to taking control of my burnout and seeking optimism, I think I'm going to employ these for sure.
And so beyond just avoiding burnout, what's the other skill set that we can focus on? It's just not just avoiding burnout, but what can we build to make our lives feel
more
manageable?
Yeah, manageable. Okay, so it's funny because these articles sort of bookended the Optimist Daily today. The first article was on avoiding burnout, and the last article is about the power of hope and how to build it. And this really comes to digging in and making a commitment, right? A 2019 study found that optimism can actually boost your lifespan 11 to 15%. It's associated with lower risk of chronic illnesses, improved mental health, less pain, less inflammation, all of these things that are sort of aligned with this notion of optimism. But oftentimes people are unsure of what that actually means. Like, what is optimism? And a big part of cultivating optimism for the future and what optimism means is that you are looking ahead with positivity and a belief that the future is going to be better and that your future is going to be good. And so one of the first steps in cultivating optimism is to acknowledge control and acknowledge that there is a part of your life that you do control. You're responsible for the proactive steps you make. You can set new goals. You can volunteer in your community. You can take control of doing good by taking action steps toward that goal. Spreading awareness about an issue you're passionate about, or even making financial resolutions can all help you build your own personal optimism. The next is to seek out solutions. Well, clearly you're listening to the Optimist Daily Update, and once Kristy and I get past our Monday morning blues, you know that we're going to offer you some Optimist Daily solutions. But seeking out solutions and focusing on tangible things you can do to contribute toward furthering them is critical. I see this on social media all the time. There are people who all they want to do is just talk about who's to blame, finding names, finger pointing. I am so disinterested in that dialogue because I am committed to seeking solutions and seeking optimism. So simply put, surround yourself with people who are solution finders and seek out solutions yourself. Gratitude is our next tip, right? Gratitude, be grateful, express your gratitude, share it with others, journal, rotate your houseplants, be grateful for them. And then also, Kristy, this one's probably the toughest, but it's accepting bad luck.
I mean, just about that, I think bad luck is maybe not, I mean, that's what the tip is in our article, but it's just not taking anything personally, right? So if something happens that is outside of your control, like I think the example here is your grocery bag breaks and you get a parking ticket, or there's a spill, or some kid hits a ball through your window, right? It's not personal. It just, stuff happens, and don't feel persecuted. Just go, oh, okay. And maybe there's a lesson in it. Maybe you can just accept it and move on and start fresh. That's right. I think that's super important.
Well, and when you've done all of these things, right, and you're not taking it personally, then you can step back and really take a look at the big picture and see that these small incidences of quote unquote bad luck or stuff that happens aren't the whole story, right? So don't let the small things become the whole story, and let the combination of your goals, your community, your commitments, your actions, and not taking the small stuff personally, create a bigger picture for your life and your perspective.
Yeah, I think that's a super important one. It reminds me of, we just did an interview with Michael Flood, who's going to be coming up next week. I think we're going to have his interview next week from Kajid about educational solutions with technology. But what makes him optimistic is realizing he and his family used to do reenactments from history, like historical reenactments.
Ooh, like drunk history, but not drunk.
I don't know. And we didn't get that deep into the details there, but if you look at over the course of history, most people on the planet are better off than most people on the planet were 100 years ago. Yes, there's a lot of pain, a lot of suffering still, but overall, the trend is positive. And if you take a step back and look at the positive, look at the big picture, you can get out of the hard things that are happening right now and know that actually there's ways going forward. And, anyway, so I think I like that one.
Okay,
and we have to get going.
Yeah, we have to go. There's a lot more great headlines on the Optimist Daily. There is that science can replicate a dog's sense of smell. There's some stuff on homelessness. There's nothing better than eating beets. And I really wanted to talk about beets today, but Kristy made me go deeper.
A stick library for neighborhood dogs to keep them entertained. It's like the little book library. There's a rare cactus that is now blooming in the UK. So it's a nice day on the Optimist Daily, and I hope everyone has a nice day in their world.
Real world. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We appreciate your support here at the Optimist Daily. We promise to continue to share positive solution-based stories about how you can participate in this changing world and ensure it is changed for the good. If you've got it, we would appreciate it. $5 a month would make you an emissary on the Optimist Daily. And if you don't, please just share our solutions with other people who need to be lifted. Thanks, everybody. Have a great Monday, and we will talk to you tomorrow.